Hello everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Ron Kilowell. I wanted to talk about something. It's going to be a little bit controversial, I think. But I want you to watch and listen to this. Well, watch this video, but listen to me. Listen to what I'm going to talk about with an open mind. And also do your own reading. Because I'm still digesting. And I think it's really important to be able to read, analyse, dissect and discuss. I read a book recently which shifted something in me, and I've been having some thoughts over the past few years, but when I read this book, it was something clicked. I'm still working on my thoughts about it, so this isn't necessarily a review, but it is a presentation of the information from the UK Black British perspective. And yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts as you watch this video, but just read the book so you can find it online. This is a book called The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power. So again, I tell you, it's going to be a bit controversial, and I think Professor Gerard A. Bull's book has caused some ruptures, right? I am not going to say, that I believe that Professor Bull is 100% right, but I will say what he has shared in this book is pretty strong evidence, or at least pretty strong when we're looking at black spending power and economic thought and collective spending power. I think I can't dispute that what Professor Bull has done is important work here. I am not going to dispute that. So wherever you are on the political spectrum, I think it's really important to undertake critical thinking. Now, this book is based on the US and Black American spending power. So I've tried as much as possible to take it from look at it from the Black British perspective, knowing that we are a much smaller community and our shared history is different. Shared African and Caribbean diaspora and community history is different, but there are some relevant points made within Professor Bull's book. I'm going to try and break down initially the points that are being made, then I'm going to share my perspectives, and then I'm going to leave it to you. Critical thinking. I'm a fan of critical thinking, okay? So this is not me saying this is how you should think. No, but I want you to take stock and have a moment. So the book, it examines the widely held belief that black communities possess enough economic power and influence through their purchasing power to really disrupt and change things in political and economic terms. Now, when we talk about things, we're talking about the real drivers of economic growth. Like, I'm talking about, when I think of this, I'm thinking of, really influencing policy, like reform, really, like, if we're talking about economic power, so I'm getting excited, so maybe let me breathe. When we're talking about economic power, we cannot just say economic power is good because it's made a few of us rich. So when we're talking about buying power, we cannot say, yes, let's get all of us to spend our money with this black entrepreneur only. So because it means that it's going to cause a shift in our community in a way that's going to improve our community's situational circumstance, right? So housing, education, right? Healthcare. Is spending our money in that direction, is there enough? Do we have enough money economically in our communities, in the UK, in America, to radically make an impact in those key areas? So I'm not talking about just making more black billionaires or millionaires, which is, look, if that's what you're into, representation and all of that, fine. But I'm talking about long-term sociological and economical impact that is going to improve the situation, the livelihoods of our communities as a whole. Now, I hope I'm making sense. So, here are some takeaways, right? First takeaway is that Ball argues the notion of black buying power, again this is black American buying power, is misleading and does not equate to actual economic strength. He states the studies from which most national discussion of buying power come from are to be credited for being are not clear, and they do not in any way relate to what most think as genuine economic strength. So basically, the reports that have been used to talk about buying power are misleading, they're inaccurate. And the one thing I like about this book, Professor Ball does not let go of like asking for facts. And this I like, because look, you cannot change a fact. A fact is a fact. No matter what, we might live in a world of misinformation, we might live in a world of social media, but a fact is a fact. Like, this is why if we look at what science and technology is supposed to do, which is not just necessarily just to make more millionaires and billionaires, it's supposed to use fact-based information for the betterment and empowerment of us all, right? Fact. So what I love about Professor Ball is Professor Ball finds these reports and is like, no, this is misleading. Because in truth, there's not enough of us, so from a like American perspective, and yeah, if we look at it from the Black British perspective, to really have that economic strength and power that people keep talking about. Okay, number two is another one. It's a propaganda tool. The concept functions as propaganda, diverting attention from systematic economic inequalities. So it works by denying the reality of structural, intentional, and necessary economic inequality required to maintain society. So basically, it's used to distract from the very things I've spoken about earlier: housing, healthcare, education, employment. If we can all get excited and say, oh yes, spend black, it's great, the black pound, fantastic. But then if year on year, statistics are showing us, facts are showing us that we continually are housed in poorer housing, we're offered worse healthcare, offered worse education, unless we can afford better education, so private education. Continuously, there's issues, systematic, structural, societal issue that are negatively impacting us. But then our only solution seems to be, let's just keep spending money. That doesn't quite make sense. Or only spend money within the black community. Again, this is where I'm saying, well, I still think it's important to spend within, amongst ourselves, I do. But because we don't have enough of an economic foundation, even when we're spending amongst ourselves, so for instance, unless we own the land of a shop, so we're going to a black-owned shop, but unless that black-owned shop is the land that the shop is owned, like the person who owns the land is also black, the money is going out anyway. It's going out of our community anyway, because the rent the shop owner is paying is going out of the community. Does that make sense? Now, please, again, this is just something to think about. Apply critical thinking. We're talking here. I'm not trying to say X, Y, Z, this is wrong or right, but I am trying to say, yeah, like, is there enough economic, we don't. Like, when I'm reading this and I'm thinking, oh yeah, it could be propaganda, like it is a distraction. The way we get so excited, for example, when it comes to representation, seeing black billionaires, even here, black millionaires, and then we scratch the surface and we see some of the activities that some of those millionaires and billionaires undertake. They're not always for the greater good of our community. So then it's like, yeah, what is the purpose of this? Another thing that was really like the whoa for me, Professor Ball really did, is a misplaced blame scenario, right? So the myth, this kind of idea that black buying power is so strong, perpetuates a false narrative that black communities are responsible for their own economic challenges due to poor financial decisions, rather than acknowledging systematic barriers. And that was it for me. This part, out of everything else, was when I was like, because we can intentionally spend all our money in certain spaces only. Does that solve and resolve the systematic issues that are taking place in our communities? No, actually no. We're still faced with them. So even when we do all of that, when we do the right thing, buy black, only shop with our, where possible, because it's not, in a country like the UK, you cannot do 100% of your shopping in a black owned supermarket, for example. That I know, you can do you can do a lot. And again, remembering, this is where you've got to really think about, like, financially, if statistically the majority of our communities, African and Caribbean communities, are working class, sometimes you have to think about where you're shopping in order to make your pounds sterling go further. And it's just not possible to be able to shop 100% in black owned businesses. But also beyond that, beyond just shopping in black owned businesses, this kind of idea that how we're spending our money is the reason why we're struggling. What? As I am filming this now, it's 2025. We should know that it's not because we've decided to buy a TV from this shop or our food from that shop that our communities are crumbling. There are systematic and structural issues that need to be addressed. But unfortunately, these kind of conversations, they do end up blaming the black community or black communities. Professor Ball also says it's a marketing strategy. So, the black buying power is used as a marketing strategy to target black consumers. So this is why, again, this is where it's going to get contentious. This is why even in the advertising space, right, where suddenly we're getting a lot of representation in advertising, it's just a way of encouraging more black consumers to spend money, obviously outside of necessarily black communities. But yeah, obviously, like, letting black people know that they have a huge amount of buying power, and we have, it's not, Professor Ball and me, we're not saying that we do not have influence at all, but it's these kind of substantial influence that can address the disparities, like serious structural disparities, that we don't necessarily have that. In a country like the UK, we make up, I want to say it's like 3.54% of the population. Could just definitely under 5% of the entire population of this country is black communities, African and Caribbean. And so it's just not really feasible to consider. Yes, we can be disruptive, and we can influence for sure, but we've got to recognize that some of it may very well be a marketing strategy. And yeah, finally, the global relevance, which is why it makes it relevant to us, is a lot of the themes of economic misrepresentation and systematic inequality resonate with black communities across the globe, especially the UK. And it's really important to understand these dynamics. So by critically examining this myth of black buying power, it gives us a deeper understanding of economic challenges and inequalities. And I really, when you think about it, look, even when things go really well in the black business community, take the time to look at the relationships, look at partnerships. A lot of black businesses can't survive wholly 100% on ourselves, on black communities. We are tied to, in this country, the majority, right? So, and it's the same in America. There is nowhere in Europe, in the UK, where a black business person can survive without the majority. Even if, I know there's some schools of thought that say we should be describing ourselves as a global majority. We are the global majority. So unless we go, you know, we look at African nations, we look at that, fine. But we're talking about people who are here, rooted here, planted here, have homes here. And we see that it's just, you know, not possible. And we're talking about it not being possible at the moment to really see black spending power as a significant enough tool to radically shift societal issues in a way that it needs to, okay? There can be some disruptions. Our voices and our influence, you know, we talk about, even, you know, social media has given us a voice. That's fantastic. We've always had a voice, don't get me wrong. But I just want us to critically assess and analyse whether we're being honest about black spending power, you know, the black pound, black buying power. Like, what does it actually mean critically, and critically engage that? Because I think it has been used as this tool of community empowerment. It's been used as this kind of, it's been labelled as something radical when actually it's not radical. It's been labelled as almost revolutionary, and it's absolutely not revolutionary. It is important, but we need to now do the work to address, okay, what does black spending power look like realistically? And what are the challenges that we need to address in our communities, and marry the two and really assess what needs to be done beyond the glittery outlook of, you know, black excellence and success as we know it. What is meaningful change? What does meaningful change look like when we talk about black spending power, black economic power, black economic strength and growth, particularly in the UK? I'm talking from the UK, but obviously Professor Ball's work is based in America. But yeah, really interesting body of work. Really want you to, if you can, find it, read it. Again, watch this with an open mind. Share insights, not insults. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.